We are approaching the third week of January 2025 and Canada is still trending. In today's video, I'll be covering two stories that's trending right now in Canada. So the first story I'll be covering is the immigration crisis in Canada and the impact that it's having on the Caribbean community. And for the second story, the premiers of Canada and the Prime Minister, they are bracing themselves for an all-out trade war next week when Donald Trump takes up office as the 47th president of the United States of America. So these two stories I'll be covering right after this. Let's talk about it. So let's talk immigration. So Canada is normally a very friendly country when it comes on to immigrant. It's one of the countries that have been accepting immigrants for decades. But until recent times, the past 4 years, we have seen a turn where it's a bit hostile when it comes on to the immigrant community. And a lot of people are putting the blame at the foot of Justin Trudeau. In particular, people are saying that Justin Trudeau brought in too many immigrants from a particular country. So because of that reason, we have seen a lot of racial tension. And when you go online and you look, you see a lot of resentment to people coming from India to live in Canada because people are saying that there are too many immigrants coming from that side of the world into Canada. So it's caused a tension like we have never seen before in Canada. And normally, Justin Trudeau and the Liberals enjoy support from the immigrant community. The immigrant community is very grateful. They love the Liberals and Justin Trudeau. When Justin Trudeau got elected some 9 years ago, one of the most loved prime minister because of the immigrant community. And the immigrant community knows the history of Justin Trudeau's dad, Pierre Trudeau, that he was one of the most loved prime minister in the history of Canada because of immigrants. But now we've seen where immigrants now have pretty much turned their back on Justin Trudeau, in particular immigrants from the Caribbean. Justin Trudeau enjoy, I would say, about a 90% support from immigrants coming from the Caribbean, and Justin Trudeau will always align himself, trying to be a part of all different cultures in Canada. And we saw him a lot of time in the Caribbean community. But now the Caribbean community is pretty much fed up because the Caribbean community is now like the latest casualty in this whole immigration saga where we're seeing now more people from the Caribbean being denied entry into Canada. So let's take a look at a video footage with Justin Trudeau.
Jerk or oxtail?
Jerk.
Interesting choice. Okay. Ginger beer or sorrel?
Sorrel.
Good choice. Okay. Rum raisin ice cream or mango ice cream?
Oh, mango. It's got to be mango. Rum raisin's fine, but mango is, yeah.
I like that. Okay. Rice and peas or white rice?
Oh, rice and peas, definitely.
Absolutely. And do you pronounce it plantain or plantain?
I'm a Quebecer, so c'est des bananes plantains for me.
I love that. Okay.
Yes, so Justin Trudeau normally express his love for Caribbean food, Caribbean culture, everything to do with Caribbean. And you would normally see him at the Caribana Festival every year. And because of that, he enjoy a lot of support from the Caribbean community. The Caribbean community have been a supporter of the Liberal Party from the early 1960s. And as I said, because of the love for Pierre Trudeau, Justin Trudeau's dad. And so it is very interesting now to see the shift in where Justin Trudeau had to step down because Justin Trudeau have one of the lowest favorability rating in the history of Canadian politics. And that is to do with a lot of immigrants are frustrated. A lot of Canadians are frustrated. So everyone is frustrated with Justin Trudeau because of the job market. And when you're in the streets and you talk to people, in particular in Toronto, the GTA area, people will mention to you that the job market was completely messed up because Justin Trudeau decided to bring over 1 million temporary workers into Canada. And in the streets, people are talking and saying, you know what? Like, a lot of these laborers are cheap labor, and it pretty much devastated the job market. So you can't get a good paying job because a company having the option to employ labor from immigrants that are on work permit, and that they would pay them way cheaper than a citizen or a resident, they're going to go with the cheaper labor. So because of that, Justin Trudeau pretty much had to step down. People are giving Donald Trump the credit for Justin Trudeau stepping down, but regardless of whether it was Donald Trump winning the American election or not, Justin Trudeau was just not going to make it. It's been unpopular since the beginning of 2024. So that is it. Like, the Caribbean community in particular is not having a good time now, because based on what I'm hearing, like, there are more Caribbean nationals being rejected, like being turned down visas. 10, 15 years ago, like, if you're from anywhere in the Caribbean and you apply for a visa to come to Canada, you would have been granted the visa. But now, the turn down rate, like the rate of you being successful, has just like gone right down. Nobody is getting visa from the Caribbean right now. So that is the first story that I want to talk about. Justin Trudeau, Caribbean community, not happy with the Prime Minister. Okay, so now with just a few days to go before Donald Trump inauguration, Canada is embracing for a trade war with the threat of like Donald Trump tariff. And an interesting development now is that we've seen some hats similar to the Trump Make America Great Again hat in the USA. We see something similar trending in Canada. And just watch this video and take a look.
Canadian political player fired back at the U.S. president-elect's threats to turn Canada into the 51st state, with a move some are now hanging their hats on. Here's CTV's John Venevelli-Rao.
Call it the Battle of the Ball Caps. In one corner, the lid Trump made famous, and in the other, a new Canadian contender proudly promoted atop Premier Doug Ford's head.
This is about everyday Canadians standing up for their country.
The message, simple, bold, and embroidered, created by an Ottawa-based branding company that's seen a sudden crush of online orders after Ford donned a cap himself.
A real thrill, very proud to be Canadian, very proud to be an Ontarian.
The guy behind the company, Liam Mooney, used to be a political fundraiser.
I would consider it a privilege to be taken over by the United States of America.
He and his partner were repulsed by comments made by a Fox News host to Premier Ford last week, and thought this response would resonate with fellow Canadians.
We heard the way that Jesse Waters was talking about Canada, this idea that it would be a privilege to be an American. Well, I've got news for those folks. It's a privilege to be Canadian, and it's an amazing privilege.
Do you see lots of Canadians wearing hats like that?
I mean, maybe one day. It depends how crazy this gets.
They've got a second hat for sale with patriotic words from the anthem. And in keeping with being Canadian, the hats are available in English and French.
So Canadians are bracing themselves for this trade war between Canada and the United States of America when Donald Trump takes office next week. And this is, to me, this is like so ridiculous, because Canada and Mexico, America's two closest neighbor, like the three amigos. And to me, it just seems so ridiculous to be picking fight with your two next door neighbor when the world is in shambles right now. We see the war in Ukraine and Russia. We see what's going on in the Middle East. China, the trade war that Trump is threatening between America and China. And it just seems like Trump is picking fight with everybody. And it just doesn't make sense. And especially this whole tariff thing with Canada, it makes zero sense, because the renegotiation of the North America trade agreement, that was Donald Trump. His signature is all over that. He was the one that did the negotiation. And as far as I know, like, everybody was happy with what they got. So to fast forward over 4 years later now, with this threat of tariff just not making any sense, and now tying it to the border, even like, it makes no sense, because the Canada-America border, it's the most open border in the world. Literally, like if you go to some places in Canada, there's one place where there's a house and half of it is in Canada and half of it is in the USA. There's a street that one half of the sidewalk is in Canada and one half of the sidewalk is in the USA. So it is not like the Mexican border where you would have to go through some dangerous areas to get into the USA, that you'd have to swim and go through like some swamp and stuff like that. It is not like that. You can literally jump from one sidewalk into the middle of the street and you're in America. That border is the most unsecure border in the world. Like Americans can walk into Canada, Canadians can walk into America. So to me, it doesn't make any sense. To me, a trade war with Canada makes no sense for the US, because even when you look at the border, and Donald Trump stated that there was like illegal drugs coming in from the border, and I know the Prime Minister, Justin Trudeau, and some of the premier said that they would secure the border more. But the thing is with the border, like, yes, the border is wide open, but according to all the numbers, less than 1% of illegal immigrants from Canada go into the USA. Less than 1% of the immigrants that are in America now that goes across from the Canadian border is less than 1%. And the same thing with illicit drugs. Going from Canada into America, it's, I think, less than 2%. So it makes no sense to be blowing up this thing with like this big tariff thing and everybody is panicking. Makes no sense. And when you talk about secure borders, it's well known that like most of the guns that come into Canada that are involved in crime, involving robbery, in shooting, in gang activities, they're coming from the United States of America. And a lot of those guns come across the border. So for me, like, this whole trade war is not making any sense. And I just think that Donald Trump just likes attention. That's what I'm feeling. I'm feeling that it's just for the media to be talking about him 24/7. And I would be extremely surprised if Donald Trump placed a 25% tariff on Canada. I would be surprised, because there's no need to. And I know that from what the Canadian politicians are saying, they are ready to retaliate. So guys, sound off in the comment section. Let me know what you think about this. Do you think that Canada and America, neighbors, do you think that we're going to have an all-out trade war? Or do you think Donald Trump is just going to go in office and this whole thing about the tariff is just going to disappear? Sound off in the comment section and let me know what you think. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more amazing content. And remember, peace. I'm out.